The biggest mistake that I've made in going on a diet to manage my prediabetes was not understanding how to address my hunger cravings. Initially, I thought that by avoiding the foods that I want and depriving myself of it was the way to go. Because as long as I am not surrounded by those temptations, I thought I was going to be in a good situation. However, little did I know, I struggled a lot whenever it comes to going out with friends or going out with my family and enjoying my friends or my family's reactions of eating the foods that I wanted to try and what I wanted to eat. And it just sucked parts of my soul away, seeing them being able to eat those foods, and it left me feeling empty, hurtful, and I just kept on saying bad words to myself, thinking that I was a failure, I wasn't enough, that I was wrong to have those feelings of the envy, the food cravings, that something was wrong with me. When in reality, it's totally normal to have that. And instead, someone with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes can totally have the foods that they want to have. They just have to approach it in a different way. So after years of struggling of depriving myself of the foods that I love to then eventually caving out on those desires whenever it comes to holiday season or going to potluck events and eating a bunch of the foods that I wanted all in one go and having horrendous blood sugars and feeling terrible afterwards, to then being able to go to those potluck parties and being able to enjoy those foods while also understanding how moderation really works so that I can curb those hunger cravings and allow my blood sugars to be fantastic and improved. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Patrick. I struggled with prediabetes back in 2021. I was able to put it into remission by 2022, and I've kept it reversed since then. I'm currently a diabetes coach where I help thousands of other people manage their blood sugars so they can put their prediabetes or type 2 diabetes into remission or lowering their blood sugars as much as they can and enjoying the foods that they enjoy and they love while also incorporating other healthy habits so that they can live a longer and healthier life to spend it with their family, to travel, to enjoy all the gifts that life has to offer us. I'm going to give three main things in order of how I was able to improve my blood sugars and address my food cravings from slowest to fastest. So the slowest tip that I'm going to talk about, but it's definitely worth it in the long run, it's going to be the timing of exercise. So when I was first initially diagnosed with prediabetes, I struggled horrendously for what the causes were for my diabetes because I was a pretty fit individual. I was in my early 20s. I was going on these runs, going to the gym, practicing different forms of exercise about 3 to 5 times a week pretty consistently. And I still had blood sugars that were not correlating with what my habits were for the amount of exercise. That wasn't until that I realized that I was not necessarily timing the exercises in the best of ways. So I realized that whenever my insulin sensitivity was at the highest, so in the morning times, I decided let's go on a morning workout. Let's focus on resistance training to activate my muscles and allow my muscles to soak up my blood sugars so that my blood sugars would be a lot more stable throughout the day. And just by making that simple change of understanding when I'm most insulin resistant, I was able to allow my body to naturally improve its insulin sensitivity, to allow those blood sugars to actually get sent to my muscles, to get sent to my brain, and be used up as fuel. Of course, I also make sure that whenever I eat food at a setting, whether it is eating food after work or eating food when I'm in my classes or other factors of whenever I'm eating food or snacking on foods, is to make an effort to go on a walk or do some simple movements like getting up and down from the chair multiple times. So I'd set a timer for a solid 30 seconds, trying to see how many that I can do in that certain amount of time to try to help activate my muscles to allow my blood sugars to be more stable. If I had a bit more time and the weather's nice outside, then I would actually go out on a walk for about 10, 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes if I had the lucky opportunity to do so. If not, sometimes I borrowed my roommate's treadmill where I was able to walk inside of the treadmill for a solid 20 minutes while watching a video on the TV screen to help allow my blood sugar to be more managed after I've had some meals so that my blood sugar can be more maintained and stable. Of course, the results of curbing those hunger cravings isn't going to be an instant result. Instead, is those consistent activities and movements actually improves my body's response of, okay, I'm able to resist the hunger hormones so that my body feels more fulfilled and satiated or feeling fuller for longer periods of time with that exercise. Because the more that I'm able to utilize that fuel appropriately, then I feel more comfortable and the blood sugars are a lot better at that moment of time. So, the second tip that is involved with curbing the hunger cravings is that for my personal experience, I found that whenever I'm thirsty, sometimes that's often masked as hunger for me. So, whenever I start feeling that my stomach is growling and I'm wondering, oh crap, am I feeling pretty hungry? Then the first thing I would do is try to take a few sips of water to try to see if maybe I'm a bit thirsty. Or whenever I'm eating food, I take a couple bites of food, try to drink a few sips of water, and just repeat that process slowly and steadily so that it can help allow my body to feel hydrated and being able to reduce any of those hunger cravings that might be associated with me just being dehydrated. So that's a lot of a quicker tip at that current moment of time. And then the third and final tip that I found extremely helpful in managing my hunger cravings, it was definitely to increase the amount of protein and increase the amount of fiber that I would have while enjoying that food craving that I'm looking for. So a story that I want to give, it is me going out to a potluck event. I was looking up on that sign up sheet to see which foods are going to have more fiber, which foods are going to be more simple in carbs, which foods are going to be having more proteins, which foods are going to have more fats on there. So it gives me a better idea of how that's going to impact my blood sugars. Because I know for simple sugars or simple carbs, that's going to raise my blood sugars higher up. It's perfect if I'm running low on blood sugars and I'm hungry for it. However, if my blood sugars are running high, then I really need to figure out what I need to try to have prior to eating those simple carbs or those simple sugars or those sweets that I'm looking forward to so that my blood sugars can be more balanced in that manner. So if I see that someone's going to bring in cookies, someone's going to bring in mac and cheese, those are going to be some simple carbs that is going to be higher in carbohydrates, maybe higher in some fat, and also higher in salt or sodium. I know that's going to cause my blood sugars to rise up a bit higher than usual. So for me, the next thing I try to look for is, okay, if I want to have a cookie, then let's see if I could try to pair it with eating something beforehand so that my blood sugars can be a bit more balanced out. When I noticed that someone's going to bring some baked beans, I thought, okay, beans, it's a protein source, it's a fiber source, it's going to be extremely helpful for my blood sugars. And when I was looking through with that for typical recipes, if someone's going to use beans, it generally has a lot of salt with it, so I just got to remember drink more water so that my blood sugar can be a lot more steady when I have that salt to improve my blood sugar levels as I am going to have those beans before I start having the sweets that I'm interested in having. And then the other thing too is anyone bringing some form of a main dish that has a good amount of protein. Some people are going to be bringing deviled eggs. I thought, perfect, deviled eggs, it has a good amount of protein. It also has a good amount of fats on there. So that means the blood sugar is going to be a bit more stable if I have those deviled eggs with the beans, having a few of those and then taking a smaller bite or pieces of the food craving that I'm having, whether that is cookies or brownies or the mac and cheese, something that is more simpler carbs that I'm craving for, that would actually help significantly in manage my blood sugars by having all of those together with it and making sure that I'm drinking water in between some of those bites and allowing myself to enjoy those foods rather than thinking that I can't have them and I would have to starve myself for the potlucks. When I found myself in that situation of having a game plan, that's actually allowed me to enjoy eating those foods without overindulging myself of eating 50 different cookies. Instead, I was able to eat one cookie, a good amount of that mac and cheese, but also balancing it out with probably 3 cups of beans and also eating a good amount of those deviled eggs. Of course, I was really full and this potluck party was lasting for a pretty long period of time, but having that game plan just allowed me to have more balanced blood sugars. It allowed me to feel full without feeling guilty and defeated. Instead, I felt full, satisfied, and very grateful for being able to try out the delicious recipes that my friends made for that potluck party. So anyways, I hope those tips you found helpful. If you think it is something that you're interested in applying or using as a part of your life, feel free to give one of them a try or all of them a try. Just do small, consistent habits. Give yourself some grace. Thank yourself for giving it a go. And comment down below of what other tips you've had for addressing those hunger cravings and managing those blood sugars. Additionally, if you're able to give a subscribe, share this video with anyone that you think it'd be helpful for, that'd be greatly appreciated so we can keep growing a bigger community to help people manage their type 2 diabetes and prediabetes with some awesome tips while also enjoying the life that they love with it. Anyways, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you for the next video.